So I'm guessing that most people on the call know who Americo is. Some of you may not know who I am because there's a few new names here for us. So my name's Stuart Easton, and I run Transparent Choice, which is a software company that does portfolio management software. That's my day job. My part-time job is I travel the world, not quite as much as Americo does, but I travel the world doing lots of kind of volunteering and speaking to the PMO community. And on that journey, it's been my great pleasure to get to know Americo Pinto. And you know, we were friends before he was the great exalted one within the PMI. When it was just the humble PMO Global Alliance struggling away in Brazil, right? We've been kind of collaborating, trying to build that community, support that community, and it's fantastic to see it blossom and expand under the PMI. So Americo, you are most welcome to join us. And the trigger for this webinar was really the fact that you guys have just released the practice guide. So why don't we kick off with just a little bit, just a couple of minutes of the journey, right? How did you get to the point where there's a practice guide? What is it, and how did you get there?
All right. So thank you, Stuart. Thank you for inviting me. It's a great pleasure. I'm sorry I'm a little blue, right? Because I'm close to a window that is a little blue, so you can see that I'm in this weird color, but everything is okay. So actually, currently I'm the managing director of PMOGA, PMO Global Alliance. That is the PMI's community of PMOs. So it's something quite new because actually PMOGA until 2023 was an independent organization. I founded this organization 7 years ago. And then in 2023, PMI acquired PMOGA and it became part of PMI actually. So PMOGA as an organization no longer exists. Now it's the name, it's the brand of the PMI's PMO community. And I still lead this community as its managing director, part of the senior leadership team of PMI. So now we are PMI actually. And then because of this acquisition, first of all, we brought many of our projects, many of our products and initiatives. So we were a very vibrant community, I could say, with 220,000 members around the world, more than 100 countries. And when we joined PMI, actually, our reach, I could say, became much wider. And this way, we had a chance to expand these projects and create new ones and expand the community. And recently, the results started to come up. For example, the new PMO Practice Guide, the first publication of PMI on the topic, the new certification, gold standard certification, and the PMI, PMOCP, PMO Certified Professional, and many other interesting projects and initiatives, always developed with the support of our community, our members. So basically, that's the whole story, right? And there is a lot of new things coming up, by the way, in the next few months to benefit all the global community of PMOs and project professionals in general.
And this is the key thing, is that everything that comes out of the PMOGA is driven by the community, right? And Tony Prensa's on here. I saw Tony. I'm sure there are a few others as well who are very active in that community and contributed to the creation of this practice guide. Also, been running the PMOGA awards for the last few years, and that's been a tremendous source of inspiration and insight into what works and what doesn't, right? Because when you look at the winners, you start, you and I, we had this conversation where you start to see the common themes across, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. This is one of our most important projects that now is part of the PMI Awards program. So, but we created years ago in 2018 the PMO Global Awards that became the major, the most relevant award for PMOs in the world, no doubt. Not only because we were organizing that, but especially because it is very different in many ways, right? So first of all, it looks like a football World Cup, right? And I'm Brazilian, it can explain that, but it looks like a football World Cup because each country is represented by one PMO, and we have group stage, round of 16s, quarterfinals, semifinals, and at the end we have regional winners and then the world winner. We have also a very big judging committee with more than 500 fantastic professionals from more than 150 countries, and it's something very important because it brings a lot of experience. And when your PMO participate in this initiative, you receive feedback from these people. They are your peers, So it's not like a group of 10 people that are doing that you are doing a great job. I don't know. I'm talking about 500 people around the board, So it's something very, I could say, meaningful. And finally, all these PMOs, they provide the judging committee with videos, not documents. And it's something cool because all these videos, they are made available for the community at the end of the competition. So it means that it's not only for vanity, like, oh, I'm the winner. No. Your work will be something important for the community because people can watch the videos for free and understand what you are doing and learn from that. So it's not only an award, it's not only about being the winner, but it's a big learning process for everyone that is involved with this initiative. So it's a project that we are very, very proud of it, and we have the contribution literally of almost 1,000 people in the total in terms of volunteers that participate in this fantastic initiative.
Excellent. Thank you, Americo. Now, Ashok's just asked a really quick question. So we're going to talk a lot about the PMI stuff today. But Ashok is a member of the APM and was wondering if there's any kind of partnership in the offing. And so last year, I think it was actually the PMI and the APM did announce a partnership where there's a path now to chartered project manager through the APM for PMI members, for example. And I bumped into Adam, who's the CEO of the APM last week, and he was telling me there's even more coming. Right? He was really excited about the relationship with Pierre and the rest of the team.
Yeah, no, I fully believe on that. I remember in the very beginning, just after the acquisition, I had a long conversation with Pierre, or PMI CEO, and I was telling him that I don't know, but the way that I see the future of an organization like PMI is that we can become a kind of accelerator of communities, like an incubator, because there are many great small communities doing a fantastic job around the world, like us, but we have limitations. We have a lack of resources. It's not easy. So when PMI can make us part of this ecosystem, like what happened recently with Agile Alliance and now with the Green Project Management, at a first glance, it looks like, oh, PMI wants to take everything. But I see in a very different way because, for example, now I have projects that I'm developing with GPM. I have projects that I'm developing with Agile Alliance. And in the past, it was something almost impossible because they didn't know me. I didn't know them or had no contact. Now we are at this same ecosystem. It means that it's not only about acquisitions and give to this smaller communities the possibility of doing better what they are doing, but it's about the synergy among them. Now we can work together and it makes all sense. So for the largest professional organization in the world that is PMI in our landscape and project management landscape, I believe there is a very big responsibility. It's not only about growing in a self-contained way, but it's make all the community grow, and it includes other communities, those that are doing a good job, an ethical job, so everything is part of this vision of future. I truly believe on that, and I see that that's what PMI is doing in a certain way. I'm happy with this.
So I tell you what, Americo, we are in danger of doing exactly what Lenora forecast that we would do. So when Americo and I get together, right, we just go like this, right? It's talk, 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 talk. So I've prepared a few little breaks in the stream of consciousness from you and me that I would like to share with the audience. So we're going to talk about the PMO practice guide and some of the key insights from the practice guide. And to get us going, I'd love to do just a little poll. So that should have popped up on your screens now. And so the first question is, what level of support does your PMO have from the leadership team? Okay, so very often when I'm at conferences, the biggest question I get, the question I get most often is, how can I get the execs to listen to me? How can I get them, how can I sell the PMO? So jump on in. Let's get as many votes in there as we can. If we get enough votes, we might even publish the results, and I'm not sure they'll be terribly meaningful, but we'll give it a go. So jump on in. A few more. Go on, fingers on buttons. Let's go. Let's see if we can get to 100. Go, 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 go. Nearly there, nearly there. We're going to do it. Come on, 90 at least. If you haven't voted, get in there. Super. Keep going. Keep going. Oh, we're going to make it. We're going to get to 100. Nearly there. Fantastic. And it's pretty clear what the answer is going to be. I'm going to end the poll there and share the results. Okay. So what we can see from that is that the vast majority of people, the answer to the question, what level of support do you have from the PMO, from the leadership, is they know I add value, but they're not quite sure what it is. So, Americo, in the one of the key themes in the practice guide is like customer centricity, right? But making everything customer centric. Talk to us a little bit about that idea and how it can help orient things around the leadership team and help win buy-in and support.
So first of all, I think it's important to say a little about how we develop this, right? I created an analogy that I think it can have helps to understand what we have in this. The point is, we PMOs, they are different and they have to be different, right? And I say that they are like trees. There are many trees. Trees are different. Trees in a forest, they are different, and they can be very beautiful. They can flourish in many different ways. They can be very successful trees, right? But each one is a different tree. And these trees, they cannot understand about the life of the other tree, because they have their own life. They are different. They work in a specific way. They have their challenges, their life. The way that we developed this guide was we brought many of these trees together. I'm talking about hundreds of them. And we couldn't ask them exactly what they believe that are their factors of success, because again, they cannot compare exactly what they are doing with other companies because they don't know too much about the other companies. So we work in a way that is very interesting. I say that we went up and we start to see the forest. And when we saw the forest, we said, okay, I can see that group of trees, they are close to the river, right? So they have a source of water. And that's something that they have in common. And it's a factor of success. That other group of trees, they get the sunlight in the morning. They cannot understand that this is one of the factors of success for them, but we can see that now because we see this group together. So when we see the forest, we can understand a lot of potential aspects that can really contribute for their success. But if we ask them about them, not saying, that it's something important, maybe because it's like how their life is. So this is what is behind this guide. It came definitely from the experience of PMOs, but not exactly what they are doing, but what they have in common. So it means that if we get all these great things, that are working well in different PMOs and put them together, that's what the guide is. And behind the guide, we have a heart, right? And the heart is PMOs are service providers. PMOs have customers. And the value will be perceived by these customers. So value is in the eye of the beholder. Value for each company will be something different. We cannot consider that value will be perceived in the same way in every single company because customers are different. They have different needs. They have different demands. So the first point is I need to understand who my customer is, and then the needs, and then the solution that will meet the needs. And then if they are perceiving the value that I'm generating for them, sometimes not. And that's the whole idea that will make us generate value. The way that each PMO can generate value will be different. I cannot copy. I cannot copy what someone else is doing. I have to find my own way, my own journey of value. So this is the spirit behind the guide. And that's why it connects many perspectives. If you take P3O, okay, you can easily connect because P3O is a specific perspective. And we understand that you shouldn't follow blindly any perspective. You have to learn from them and create yours. Because how can someone create something, a solution for you without knowing you, without knowing your needs? It doesn't make any sense. So you shouldn't believe in anyone. You should learn from all of them and then create your own solution, your PMO. And that's why PMOs are different.
So Winston Churchill, I believe it was, Dan is on the call, maybe he can correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was Winston Churchill who said that history does not repeat itself, but it does rhyme, right? And PMOs are a little bit the same. PMOs are not all, there's no two PMOs the same, but there are common themes, right? They rhyme. And so one of the common themes is this, so you talked about who are the stakeholders. Almost every PMO on the planet, the senior leadership team are absolutely key stakeholders. They're generally paying the bills for a start, but they're also the ones who are kind of defining what success means. So, are there any common themes that you've seen that that come from the leadership team of complaints they have, observations they have, things that they want from the PMO?
That's a very interesting point because sometimes we think, okay, they have their needs. Well, let's take the executives, right? They have their needs. So I have to provide something that is a solution for them. So the best way of doing that is asking them. Yeah, you are right. So asking them means I could come with a kind of menu of things that I can do, like methodologies, training, mentoring, reports, portfolio, and say, hey, what do you want? But it doesn't work like that. And why? Because it's not their language. Actually, it's like when you go to a doctor. When you go to a doctor, the doctor doesn't ask you, hey, which medicines do you want? No, the doctor says, hey, what are you feeling? And based on your language, the doctor will translate that in medicine, in solutions. And that's exactly what happened with PMO. We have to speak the language of our customers. And their language is based on needs and outcomes that are expected by these needs. But there is an important point because we just say, okay, so let me give you an example. I say their need is because they don't see a clear connection between projects and strategy, and then they cannot make good decisions, let's suppose. And you say, okay, so I will provide a good medicine for that. I will support portfolio management. And then now we have a big map with all connections, so they are supposed to make the decision. But when you ask them again, maybe they will say, no, I still don't really think that I can make the decisions. You can say, but come on, we deliver the value. The value is this map. Now we can do that. But an outcome is not the value. The value is when the outcome becomes a recognized benefit. And benefits, they happen at the mind of your customer. Benefits are not a number. Benefits are a feeling, a recognition. It's when I say, hey, that's good. When you provide it to me, now I'm able to make better decisions. And sometimes you have the numbers, sometimes you have the output, but the real outcome doesn't become a benefit because there is no recognition. If there is no recognition, there is no benefit, no value.
I'll give you a great example of that. Was our security guys, cyber guys, were doing some upgrades, which of course made it much easier for all the users to do their day-to-day work. And so I was speaking with them today and saying, great, you just bagged some value, but the users see the opposite, right? They see cost. And he said, well, I can come and I can tell them we're more secure. And I'm like, no, that's not enough. That's not value to them. That's value to you. That's value to me as the CEO. That's value to me.
Exactly.
Because that's reducing risk, but that's not value to them. So you've got to convert it to value to them for them to understand that the value is useful. And
absolutely. And that's something really cool. By the way, I just presented that in Barcelona last week in the PMI Global Summit. The point is, we have two sides of this value measurement. There is the one that is an individual side. It's about each customer. So for make each customer recognize the benefit and see that as a value, it's a logical formula. Actually, the positive impact should be higher than the negative impact, right? And negative impact means all efforts, including cost, right? So if I see that, okay, now I can make a decision, but it's a big mess. People, they are fighting each other. So the consequences, for example, they are like these benefits. And at the end, the balance between the benefits and these benefits and efforts, it's not something good for you. I mean, you are not really happy with that. So it means that if you are delivering the positive benefits, but if these benefits and efforts are too high, maybe it's not a good deal. And the value of a PMO as a whole is a balance among your customers. Because, for example, you are the executive, right? I'm providing you all this great information for make a decision. Now you're happy. But I have someone else, like a project manager, that is hating that because now that person is being much more controlled. So that's why it's a big balance among all the customers, because sometimes what you are doing in a positive way for your customer is impacting in a negative way another customer. And you have to manage all of this together. You have to understand all the impacts of what you are doing. So it's not only about doing technical things, because if you are doing something technically perfect, people will recognize that. No. It's about people. It's not about technique. And all these people, they are connected because they are your customers. You are serving them. And the value of the PMO is the result of how all of them understand how important the PMO is for the organization.
Beautiful. So I think that's answered some of the questions actually that have been queuing up in the chat.
Yeah.
So if I'm looking this way, I'm looking at the questions in the chat.
Absolutely.
So let's pick off some of the questions from the audience. So some of them are quite tactical. So for example, Lisa asks, the author says, the old PMO value ring had a wonderful web tool. Will there be a web tool with a new value ring?
Right. Yes, but in a different way. In the past, we had a kind of transactional software that was cool. Now the software is not aligned with the new PMO value ring framework anymore because it's different. It was much improved. But we will do something different. We will create small tools. So if you go to the PMOGA online community platform, you will find that. We will start with simple tools like spreadsheets. We have one, for example, today to help you to select the services of your PMO based on the expectations of outcomes from your customers. So it's available there. When we see that people are providing feedback and it's quite, ready to be improved, we will develop a specific small tool for this. So it won't become again a very big transactional software because it's too complicated and PMI doesn't offer software. Software is another business, it's something really complicated. So I have to find a way of providing something to support people, but in a way that makes sense for PMI. My big objective is to make these tools part of PMI Infinity. So we are working on this. We want to bring all these tools to PMI Infinity. Then you can use PMI Infinity to generate everything that you need. It makes all sense. We can leverage AI.
Another super tactical question. Is there going to be a printed version of the practice guide?
No, and there is a reason for that, right? The reason is it's the first edition. We have great feedback. We have new ideas. We have pilot projects in progress in companies. If I print something right now, it will be an excuse for don't make an update in the beginning of next year. And I don't want that. Actually, in the beginning of next year, it's not usual in PMI, that usually guides and standards, they are updated every 4 years. But I see that it's not an option, we need an update in the beginning of next year. There are many new ideas, things that we can make adjustments, and if I have printed books, people will say, oh, now we have printed books, So believe me, we will get much more benefits if we wait a little. So probably in the second edition next year, we'll have a chance. I would love to have my printed version, right? I love books, right? But it's not the best strategy. Updating it quickly with all this dynamic that we have is something much more important. So if it depends on me, this first version, only digital, because I believe it's the best thing that we can do for us, for our community.
Super. Right. I've got two super quick things, and then we'll move on to the next poll. So the first one is we've been talking a lot about how to get executives to support and buy into the PMO. We get asked this so often that we've actually created something that we call the Case for Change. I've just dropped the link into the chat. So this is a quick kind of workshop thing that we do with PMO leaders, where we look at, what's the pain from your leadership team suffering? What are the root causes of that? What are the key services that you can deliver to solve the pain? And how do you communicate that so that you get the buy-in? It's just a way of getting buy-in. So if you are struggling with this, right, book yourself a Case for Change. The first session just takes an hour, and then we'll figure out what we need to do after that.
Absolutely,
And for that, we don't, for that first briefing session, which if you want to go and do it yourself, you can just go and do it. There's no cost for that. It's not tied to our software. It's not about our software. It's about PMO and establishing value with the leadership team. So if you've struggled with these issues, book a meeting. Sorry, go ahead, Americo.
No, yeah, I was saying that it's a great idea. All these opportunities can let us think or rethink our beliefs, and this is exactly what made PMOs evolve. I usually say that if we have too many answers about what a PMO should be, it's very possible that we are not in the right way, because PMOs are so dynamic, So if you believe that you are the most beautiful tree in the world and all other trees should be like you, this is not the real world, my friend.
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%. Michael, thank you. Keep going. Keep doing what you're doing. Michael keeps dropping in links and things like that to the practice guide and PMO resources. So brilliant. Thank you for that.
Yeah, members can download for free, actually, at PMI website.
Yep, absolutely. And then just one super quick point. Rashad said something along the lines that, communicating value, that Complying with requirements and regulation is not value add. As a CEO of a business, Rashad, I have to disagree with you respectfully. I disagree very strongly. When you're doing compliance, right, it absolutely adds value because it is reducing risk. Compliance is all about reducing risk in the business, and risk does have value. So always, don't think about what's the output. The output is we've ticked a compliance box. The value to the business is we have reduced the risk of something bad happening, right?
And sometimes you can be out of the business if you are not compliant, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well,
Absolutely.
actually, again, don't be too assertive when you are talking about PMO, right? Because it depends. If the CEO truly believe and feel that it's something important for the business and for him or her, right? My friend, that's it. That's a real word, So that's what you have to understand. Sometimes it's something that you have all the right to disagree. It's okay, right? But it's not about if you agree or not. It's about what is needed or not. I usually say if it's not illegal, immoral, and will not get you fat, you can do it, right? Because it's needed, right? You can do it. It's not a big deal. So, but we need this connection between what is really expected and what you are doing. Otherwise, there is no perception of value.
Perfect. So to the point of all the trees being different, I'd love to find out what kind of trees we've got in the audience. All right. So the next poll is open. Where do you spend most of your time within the PMO? Is it fighting fires on projects? Is it pulling together reports? Is it creating and enforcing methodologies, process and, the classic process police thing? Or is it optimizing delivery of business value? So where do you spend most of your time? Be honest. Don't tell us where you would like to spend most of your time or where you think you should spend most of your time. Tell us where you actually spend most of your time. We'll just give it a few seconds. Let's see if we can get up to 100 people again. Once we get up to 100, we'll reveal the answers. Here we go. 92, 93. Come on, few more. Jump in there. You got to be in it to win it. All right, there we go. That'll do. Let's end the poll, share the results. There we go. Can you see this? So it's reasonably evenly spread on this one, Americo. What do you think? What do you think to that? What's your reaction?
Well, the point is, when we talk about needs, there are some needs that they are very common, right? So, and because these needs are common, the medicines that you provide, they are also very common. So, for example, why do we have methodologies in many PMOs? They are involved with methodologies because methodologies is a kind of medicine that can address many different needs and expectations, not all of them, but many of them, right? So what you are doing in terms of services, there is no right and wrong. Actually, it's just a matter of doing what is needed. The problem is PMOs, there are many PMOs that they fail, not because they are not doing a good job, they are not providing good services, but because they are providing wrong services. It's like you are providing a great medicine for a pain that doesn't exist. So nobody can see value on that. My pain is in my head, and you are giving me the best medicine in the world for my stomach. How can I see value on that? And why are you doing this? Because you believe that every PMO should do that. You know what I'm saying? But okay, but not here. Here, my needs are different. And this is the big point. So PMOs are not like pre-established models that you just take them and say, okay, that's what we have to do. So the PMO that was very successful in the past in my company where I was working, now I'm a consultant, and I will try to implement the same PMO in all my clients. Probably all of them will have problems and maybe fail. And why? Because you are giving a medicine that was really good for your past company, but you have no idea if this medicine makes sense for this new companies, this new PMOs. You know what I mean? So this relationship between what you are doing and what is expected is the key. And you see that both items that were in the top of that list, they are not very strategic, right? They are quite tactical and operational. And you can say, oh, it's not correct. PMOs should be more strategic. Actually, it depends, because sometimes the needs can be more operational, the needs can be more tactical, or they can be more strategic. It's okay. There is nothing wrong with that. But on the other side, sometimes PMOs, they are much more tactical and operational than they could be in terms of strategic approach, because there is a lack of maturity in the organization, especially at the top level. So when we have people with a lack of maturity in our topic, right, in project management at the top level, usually they require much more tactical and operational aspects than strategic aspects, because actually they cannot understand the value of these things yet, but it's a matter of time. That's why it's a journey of value. We have to educate our customers, and then they will be able to perceive the value of what we are doing in an easiest way.
Agreed. And so here's the way I think about it, right? Actually, my view, my personal view, is that every PMO on the planet should have the same job description, right? And that job description should be to maximize the return on investment from your portfolio, right? That's it. That's the job description. That's all of it. You don't need more than that, because part of your journey is to understand, where is the organization today? And Americo, to use your metaphor, what medicine do they need today? And fix that problem to improve the ROI. And then once you fix that problem, you say, what's the next most important problem? Then you fix that problem, right? And so it could be that on day one, you go in and you've got to do really basic stuff like, help people understand what a risk register is, right? And think, really basic stuff. But you know what? After 6 months, everybody knows what the risk register is. You don't need to do that anymore as a PMO, right? So you can go and do something further up that value chain. And so the key is, every step, what you're trying to do is add more value to improve that ROI. So
Exactly.
And I think so. There's a couple of themes here coming out from the practice guide, right? So the first one is that actually projects are not about projects. Actually, so we do this whole thing with ducks, right? So we got, I don't know if you can see the ducks behind me here, but we do this thing with with ducks and eggs, right? Where the business doesn't care about your projects, right? They don't care if you have a boy duck or a girl duck. They don't care if it's waterfall, agile. They don't care about any of that, right? They don't care about boy duck or girl duck. They just want eggs. They want the value, okay? They want the value from the project. So right at the heart, no matter where you are on that maturity curve, what kind of PMO you've got, it should be about delivering business value. Even if all you're doing is timesheets and reporting, right? You're doing that to help the business realize the value. You're not doing it because the timesheets and the reporting in and of themselves are important. You're doing it to help the organization add value. And so that's one of the themes, Americo, that comes across very strongly in the practice guide. And then the second theme, that Americo was talking about there is that PMOs evolve over time, right? They evolve as the needs change. That agility is really important. So what I'd like to do is open up the third poll and just see how we're all doing on it. It's almost like we planned this, Americo, which I have to say we didn't really. All right, so there's a third poll is there. That should be open. So how well aligned are you guys all seeing that? Just give me a quick thumbs up if you can see it. How well aligned are you all? Yeah, votes are coming in. Thank you very much. How well aligned are your PMO services to the strategy and pain of the business, which is what Americo was just talking about, right? Just talking about the alignment. Oh, wow. And again, vote for what reality is, not what you think it should be or what you would like it to be, but where you actually are today. Fantastic. Keep going, keep going. We're up to about 70 votes. Keep going. Yeah, I'll see these. Thank you. I like that. Stuart's motto. Companies want more eggs, bigger eggs, the right eggs and fewer broken eggs. We had the whole of Barcelona shouting that last week. That was a lot of fun. Brilliant. All right, here we go. Let's see what the results look like. Still a few votes coming in. We'll leave it open just for a few more seconds. And there we go. That'll do. Okie dokie. So this one, so this is this is great. We don't have very many people just saying, look, I'm a PMO, I'm going to do what PMOs do, and I don't care about the business. That's brilliant. Well done. I'm delighted about that. But the other three are fairly equal, right? So there's let's say it's 30% of you say that you're 100% aligned, that the services you're offering really support are aligned to the strategy and the pain of the business. About a third think that you're kind of syncing up every year or so with the business, and then about another third of you are saying, yeah, just kind of vaguely. We talk to business occasionally. So America, what does the practice guide say, and what does your experience tell you about this, about the
No,
need to align those services?
yeah, I think we need to expand this view a little bit. The point is, remember I said that value has two sides. We have the individual perception of value, and we have the collective perception of value, the organization as a whole, right? So I'm saying that because when we are delivering value, benefits and then value with the recognition, actually, sometimes it can be something very sophisticated. Sometimes it can be something simple, but we are delivering values in the same way. For example, actually, we have someone at the C level, right, is not very experienced on project management, for example, portfolio management. And this person at this moment needs some support to be able to make a good analysis of that information and make decision. So look, it's something quite simple, right? The PMO can help, and you are generating value. And why? Because there is a pain, and you are healing that pain, right? So it's not something very sophisticated, and we are changing the something, the way that we are delivering products. No. You are just supporting your customer. And this is something important because that's the way that we establish trust-based relationships. One day, the same customer will be more mature and we will need something more sophisticated. And you will be there. You will be there to support them. So this is the first point. Sometimes simple things can add a lot of value. There is another point that is when we say that, okay, the PMO is here to generate a better ROI for our portfolio, for example, it depends. There are some PMOs, especially if they are not an enterprise PMO, that sometimes their purpose, that value proposition is much more tactical and operation. So they are not really involved with the portfolio as a whole, and it's okay. You are meeting your objectives as a PMO. It's part of the game. So PMOs are different, sometimes more strategic, sometimes more tactical and operational, but you are doing a great job. And thirdly, if we expand this view of value, we will see that there are many ways of understanding what value means. For example, sometimes it can be influenced not only by the customer, but even by the culture. For example, if we talk about value with an American company, okay, maybe ROI will be the most important point if everything's about money, right? But if you go to other cultures, for example, right, where money is not exactly what drives them, sometimes because they have a lot of money, right? It's much more about visibility, prestige, You know what I mean? And that's what people really value at the end of the day. So it's not about the money. It's about, or sometimes in the government, it's about improving the chances of your most important customer to be re-elected, for example. So it's not about the ROI. You know what I'm saying? So the way that people understand value will be different. The way that companies and sometimes the way that cultures will interpret value is different. And we have to be open for that. So again, many PMOs fail not because they are not doing a good job, but because they believe that the technical aspects are the most important ones. And sometimes it's all about people. So if you don't deal with that, and you believe that the technical aspects are enough to generate perception of value, possibly you will become very, very frustrated.
Yeah, and your customers will become very, very frustrated as well.
Absolutely,
Right?
and it's an endless,
yeah.
endless cycle. Because the way that you respond to the frustration of your customers is with more technical stuff. You say, okay, I'm going to do what I'm doing in a better way. But it's not about what you are doing. It's about why you are doing. So
Brings us right back.
you miss the
Brings us
point.
right back to that value is at the
Yeah,
center, right? And value is in the eye of the beholder.
exactly.
So,
And value as beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
absolutely.
Exactly.
Well, and so Reza has a related question to this. So she's saying, PMO as a service provider adds some value, but she's wondering why the PMO's potential role within the organization's broader value stream or value chain is kind of missing. And actually, I'm not sure I think it's in there. It's maybe just not using those languages because that language. Because if you're orienting your PMO around business value, then you have to think about value streams and value chains. You can't do it
Yeah,
otherwise,
I
right?
agree. I agree.
So,
I agree.
so it's a super question, Reza. Thank you for that. So I think this whole idea, this core theme in the practice guide around, being value centric is really embedded in, not every organization is mature enough to think about clear value streams and know what they are. But if you do,
Yeah,
just plug into that, and that's going to help you.
I love the idea, but the only point is the guide is not talking about this because this is part of the solution. And the solution will be different from company to company. So if you feel, and this is the point, because if you read a book about PMOs, for example, if you read 10 books about PMOs, you won't find anything talking about that. And if you say, okay, I have to follow one of them, I'm so sorry, there is nothing about that. So it means that PMO are supposed that they shouldn't do that. But you need that in your company, in your scenario. So what the guide says is, okay, it's not common, it's not usual, but that's what you need, my friend. So go ahead, do that,
Go do it.
because it's part of the solution. So the guide focused on providing a mindset, open your mind, saying, hey, don't follow models, types of PMOs, forget about it. The way that you call your PMO doesn't matter. You have to create something that can be really, really unusual. You will not see anything like that anywhere. It's okay if it's that what you need.
Absolutely. So, you have directed PMOs and this and that and the other, right? You've got these different types of PMO. I was speaking with Frederick Casagrande a little while ago. So Fred was on the board of PMOGA and he's super experienced PMO leader. And Fred said, no. Right. We don't have all of these, directive and controlling and all these things, right? We don't really have those. There are only two types of PMO out there. There's my PMO and everything else, right? Because
Yeah, it's true.
they're all different, right? So
Yeah, it's true.
we've been talking a bit about value and all that kind of good stuff. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to do one final poll, and this one is: how do you measure project success? Is it on time, on budget, right? Is it we delivered on time, on budget, and we delivered the scope that was asked for? Is it we delivered the originally intended benefits, or is it we delivered the real value for money and ROI to the business? Those last two are subtly different, right? And again, tell us what you actually do, not what you know you should do or what you would like to do, but what you are actually doing today. Hey, you can tell, look, this talk, Americo, has attracted all the best PMOs, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because there is no way these answers are representative of the general population. Absolutely no way.
Very true.
Excellent. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna end the poll in just a few seconds. We're nearly up at 90. Go on, last couple of answers. Go for it. Go for it. There we go. That'll do. So let me share the results. So so there are very few people willing to admit that yeah, well, actually, I'm delighted to see some people did click on my first option, which was, any landing you can walk away from is a good one, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
any project that doesn't kill you, that was a success.
yeah, exactly, exactly.
Um,
PMI just released a very interesting research on project success, and actually, again, it's a formula, so it's not only about benefits, but also about effort, these benefits. So again, it's the balance. So what makes people understand something as successful is, okay, what I get in terms of positive impact is higher than all efforts and everything that I had to do to make it happen. It's easy like that. Of course, there will be part of this formula that will be more tangible, but there will be a big part of this formula that can maybe intangible. And that's what makes it complex, because sometimes, again, you have the numbers, but you don't have the perception of value and then success. And this is, for me, the big challenge. If we can bring some knowledge from other areas outside project management to help us, we can understand this much better, because by nature we are much more technical people, and but the people side of all of this is something that is becoming clearly more and more important, and we cannot ignore that. So how can we just drink from other sources of knowledge from other areas and complement the vision that we have about how people perceive value and success as a consequence?
so when I see you in Riyadh, right, remind me of that point, because I need to show you some things, because that's a large part of what we've done. Big part of what we do is so little flag wave for transparent choice, right? Um, is um, is we bring there's a whole body of research into how to do things like that, right, around decision science and things. So there are techniques that you can use to quantify that unquantifiable stuff, right, that sentiment stuff. And so if you can quantify it, that gives you data. And then so the way I talk about it is, we want to win the head, the heart, and we want to solve the heartbreak, right? So it's the head, heart, heartbreak are the three components. So the head is the data. The heart is the story that kind of goes along with the data, right? We've made our people happier, right? We're measuring that. We've improved the motivation of our people, whatever it is. Then you can maybe tell some stories about that, and then you can tell a story about something that went really badly or wrong because because it wasn't working, right? So that's the heartbreak that we're fixing. And
Yeah,
when you do that, you can really take the data is the head, then the heart is what I'm feeling, and then the heartbreak is what impact does that have on the business. And when you put all three of those together, you can really clearly get that value out there and get that definition in
yeah,
people's minds. So there's lots of really good techniques out there, and as you say, a lot of them are coming from outside of project management, because they're not project management problems. They're psychology problems, or they're decision management problems, or they're whatever it may be. So all good stuff. So
mm,
the point of the question there, Americo, you very nicely led into it, is that the PMI after many years of lots of people lobbying, changed the definition of project success to include the word value, which I'm delighted about. For all of you guys who are sort of PMP people, PMBOK 8 is being developed as we speak. And I think value is probably going to be shining from that even more brightly from what I'm hearing from the people I know who are writing it. So I'm really excited to see what that looks like when it comes along.
Yeah.
So there's a one last question, I think, from the audience, Americo, and then that'll get us to the top of the hour, I suspect. And I'm trying to find it. I know it's back here somewhere, but it was something to the effect of, what's the difference between a PMO and a project manager? And it's a really interesting question when you start to dig into that one, right? Because there is a fundamental difference, several fundamental differences. So
Absolutely.
go for it. Why don't you pick on that one first?
Yeah, this point is really interesting, and honestly, this is exactly why PMOGA was created. Because for those people that work at PMOs, they know that it's a totally different type of job. Actually, okay, it's about projects, and that's why many people believe that it's so similar. But in terms of competences, it's different. Very, very different. I usually say that project managers, they are those people that you say, okay, that's what you have to do. They will say, okay, I'm going to make it happen. We have this side with PMO people also, but PMO leaders especially, they have a step behind this specific this specific action. That is, from time to time, I have to create solutions. So I have to understand needs and design solutions. It's not only about implementing them or planning and implementing them. It's about creating them from the scratch, creating something that can be tailored and make sense for your customers. So it's a different kind of competence. So that's why in the guide, we have something about that. We have a kind of initial competence model for PMO people. And look, the competences that will be required will depend on the PMO that you have, because different services will require different competences. If you are providing training, for example, some competencies will be required. If you are providing reports, or if you are providing portfolio management or project management, all these different services can require different competencies. So a PMO competence model is something much more complex in a certain way, because there are many different types of variations that can influence what you need to develop in terms of competencies. But anyway, one thing is absolutely, I believe, a reality. That is, we are talking about different types of professionals. Project managers, they are not PMO leaders. PMO leaders not necessarily are project managers. Of course, there are some points in common, but the essence of each one, I believe, is very, very different.
Yeah, and the way I think of it is really simple, that, the project manager is responsible for landing one project, right? If you get it right, you deliver one project and the value associated with it. If you get it wrong,
Exactly.
you crash one value. The PMO should be working a level above that usually, right? Not always. There are different kinds of trees, right? We get that. There'll be some trees where this doesn't apply, but generally the PMO is sitting a level above that. And so what they do impacts every project, right? Whether it's resource capacity planning or methodology templates, whatever it is that you're creating, that affects every project. So that means,
Absolutely.
so you have a higher level of responsibility, and it's very much, being a PMO is not, oddly enough, I don't think it's about project management at all. It's a business management function. It's
Yeah,
about,
yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, there is an interesting point about that, Stuart. Yesterday night, I was in an event, and someone asked, like, okay, but PMO professionals, they will be replaced by AI, right? Or PMOs will be replaced by AI. And I see, especially when you talk about PMOs, I see that in a different way. First of all, I truly believe that PMOs, they are the main drivers of AI in organizations, because project managers, they are the end users, right? PMOs will introduce AI in the organizations, definitely, right? And maybe we could think, okay, but can AI replace the PMO? I don't believe so. Actually, there are two options. PMI will improve PMOs a lot, or they will destroy PMOs, many PMOs. And why? Because AI is about how you are doing things, right? So in terms of automation, in terms of prediction, actually AI can support you a lot. But if you are not aligned with the real needs, it's like you are boosting the wrong medicine. You know what I'm saying? So actually you will do much better something that you are not supposed to do. And it will kill you very quickly, right? So AI can bring you to another level. I truly believe on that, if you are aligned with the real needs of value. But if you are not, if you are doing what you believe you have to do, because that's how PMO works, it will just improve something that has no value at the end of the day. And all this lack of alignment will become much more explicit. And then you're going to die. So AI can be a great solution, but can be your sentence of death.
Do you know what, my friend? We've done it again. We've used up all the time allotted to us and a couple of minutes up more. So we're going to have to bring it to an end. I mean, it's a shame because there are some fabulous questions and comments and everything in the audience. Yeah, big round of applause for Americo. Really, really loved it. A couple of people have said we should do this more often. Absolutely, we do this every month, right? So watch for the newsletters from the Transparent Choice team. We have a great thought leader on every month. Next month we've got somebody called Rebecca Reynolds who's going to be talking about the link to strategy, right? So if your C-suite is the head and project execution is the body, right? Strategic planning and the PMOs, the prioritization piece, it's the neck. It's the bit that joins the two together, right? So we're going to be talking about the neck next month. So come join us for that. And again, if you were in the lower the lower rankings for some of those maturity questions earlier on, book that case for change, because if you're going to improve things, you've got to take the executive team with you, and the case for change is how you do that. So go and book that case for change. Americo, a million thanks. I can't wait to see you in Riyadh and give you a proper hug in person.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right.
Always
Fantastic.
a pleasure. Thank you very much for everyone that came with us. Remember that May 13th is the International PMO Day, right? And we have to celebrate the value of our PMOs, right? That's why we created together with the House of PMO,
PMO.
with
PM
PMO officers, with the PMO leader, all of us. We created this important day, together, not because of us, but because of you, right? So it's the day that we will celebrate the great job that we are doing, or reflect about what we are doing, and understand what will be our mission from now on, how our PMO will evolve.
Awesome. And then I have one more thank you, which is a personal one, Americo.
All
I want to
right.
thank you for all of the effort that you've put in over the last 10 years or so, building the PMOGA. You've really brought the PMO community together, and by landing in the PMI, you've given it a platform to go mainstream and change the world, right? And I know how hard you worked on that. So I want to thank you on behalf of everybody on this call and all the other PMOs who couldn't make it today. Thank you, my friend.
Absolutely. Actually, I'm very grateful
Good
for
stuff.
having the privilege of counting on the support and the trust of so many people around the world like you. I see so many of them here connected with us. For me, it's a privilege to deserve, the trust of all of these people, and and have a chance to voice the great community that we have and develop PMOs that are something I believe so important for companies and for each of us as a project professional. That is what we are at the end of the day. And now PMI is also not only the home of project managers, but the home of PMO professionals. And this is something that I believe is a great legacy that we are leaving to the whole community.
There we go. That's a great note to end on. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for joining. And do look out for next month's session.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Americo.